Today I begin the 12th lecture, that is realism. Realism is known as empiricism, physicalism, materialism, etc. They all imply that objects which our sensations reveal exist independently. Realism deals with facts. Realism has certain characteristics which can be listed as follows. First, ordinary experience reveals that objects to be as they appear to us. In other words, they are independent of experiences. Secondly, objects in the real world cannot be denied because they exist beyond doubt. Doubting the physical world leads to self contradiction. 3. According to Moore, material objects differ. As for example, a red object cannot be called a blue object. Fourthly, the material world exists by itself independently. Objects do not depend on sense experience. Fifthly, some objects may remain unperceived or unknown, but that does not mean that they are imaginary. Apart from naive realism, philosophical realism is divided into three parts: representative realism, neorealism, and critical realism. Naive realism is the realism of popular belief, which believes that objects are as they seem and nothing more than that. Representative realism believes that objects exist independent to being known. Their concepts are derived from objective reality of the world. This view is also called the scientific realism. Concepts are merely representations of objects. Ideas represent real objects, and that is what is called scientific realism. Now we come to neorealism. Neorealism believes the following things. First, that objects are independent of experience. Second, that concepts are not objects. Thirdly, qualities are found in objects. Fourthly, objects are as they are experienced. Fifthly, objects are physical and not personal. And sixth, imaginary objects are not existent but subsistent. Apart from this, critical realism begins as a reaction to neorealism, and therefore it agrees with neorealism in one or two ways. Firstly, it says that objects are independent to being known. Secondly, it agrees that qualities in objects are physical and not subjective. And thirdly, that objects are objects of knowledge but are independent to knowledge. But they differ because critical realism believes in subject, object, and sense data. Critical realism also believes that it is incorrect to believe that all experience is exactly as it is perceived and conceptualized. Sometimes the essence of objects becomes the content of experience. Stace criticizes critical realism by saying that it can never be proved by materialism, that even when no one is experienced, objects still exist. Neorealism appears fallacious because the difference between subsistent entities and existent entities remain unexplained, since they are both assumed to be true without any substantive proof. So we see that realism has its fault and is not completely true. Stace also feels that by turning objects into ideas, the mind adds something to them in order to make them understood and understandable. So, realism appears to be incomplete as a theory of knowledge. Thus, we see that even realism has its failings and so cannot be accepted as a complete theory of knowledge. So, today I end my lecture here and I'll come with a new topic in my next lecture.